Hi, this is your course for thought, and we're still considering the parable of the Good Samaritan. Let's read a little bit to refresh ourselves. Luke 10, starting at verse 30. And Jesus answering said, A certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell among thieves, which stripped him of his raiment, wounded him, and departed, leaving him half dead. And by chance there came a certain priest that way. When he saw him, he passed by on the other side. And likewise a Levite, when he was at that place, came and looked on him, and passed by on the other side. But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was. And when he saw him, he had compassion on him, went to him, and bound up his wounds, pouring in oil and wine, and set him on his own beast, and brought him to the inn, and took care of him. Who's the Samaritan? Well, the Samaritans were hated by the Jews. They were the hated people. In fact, a Jew would go all the way around Samaria rather than go through it. So hated were they. But why were they hated? The fact is, they were not Jews. If you read back in 2 Kings, you'll find that when the king of Assyria captured Israel and took them into captivity, he sent some of the Assyrian people back to live in the cities that had been vacated by those who were being captured. And they were eaten by lions. And they said to the king, send us a priest who shows us what to do here so that we can placate the gods of this area. And they sent back a priest who showed them what the Old Testament required of the Israelites. And they did it as a matter by rote. Like a lot of people who go to church today do things by rote. They say the same thing every time, week in, week out. It means nothing. And so they weren't Jews. They were hated by the Jews. So who is this hated man? Well, who did the Jews and the Gentiles crucify? Oh yes, and make no error. The Jews and the Gentiles conspired together to crucify Jesus. It tells that to us in Acts chapter 4. Jesus was the hated man. The Pharisees and the Sadducees hated him because he was destroying their livelihood. He was taking away their ability to say to people, you've got to do this, you've got to do this, you've got to do this. And he was saying, the work of God is this, that you believe on him whom he hath sent. The Samaritan represents the hated man, Jesus. What does Jesus do? He comes, he sees the man lying there, beaten up, without a robe. He puts a robe on him. He takes him to the inn and he gives the innkeeper half a shekel. He pays for his salvation. Has the hated man paid for your salvation? Jesus paid for everyone, but you've got to take it. Have you taken it yet? Think very carefully. It is so important. God bless you.